Yo, what is up, guys? So today I'm sick from school. Not the whole day, but more than half of it. Am I really sick? I will leave that up to you to decide. I'm going to an event tonight with two of my buddies, so that'll be cool. And I know some other people at the event, but I'm going to be picking up two of my friends via automobile pretty soon. So that should be fun. But yeah, honestly, I was just out here walking. Not really. I grabbed this camera that you're watching through right now. But I came out here because I wanted to think. I've been planning for a while. Actually, planning's a very loose term. I've been daydreaming about going on kind of an adventure around the world. And also, there's like some can back there. Yeah, as I was saying, I've been planning kind of loosely in my head, going on an adventure all around Earth, you know? And yeah, I just wanted to kind of document my thoughts as I'm kind of daydreaming. But yeah, recently I've been really wanting to go to Europe again. I've been before, but I've never been alone. I've always been with my family. So I think it would be kind of a different kind of fun to just go adventure on my own around the world, someplace I've never been. And yeah, as I said, I've been to Europe before. I've been to, let me see how many countries. Okay, we've got Sweden, England, Wales, if you count those two as separate. Sweden, England, Wales, Spain, France. Then on the other hand, Italy, Switzerland, and I guess if you count Monaco, I've been there. And yeah, so I've been to, was that 7 countries? Maybe I'm forgetting one. I don't know, but I've been around a bit. But there's still quite a few I'd really like to go to, such as Germany, Austria, back to Switzerland, because I've only been in southern Switzerland, not even for a full day, just for a few hours. Which other countries? Norway would be great. Czech Republic would be awesome. Go and check out Prague. But yeah, those are some countries that have been on my list for quite a while. So how am I going to fund this endeavor is the big question. And honestly, I don't know. I don't have a job right now. I'm in high school doing pretty rigorous classes, but it's senior year. So by second semester, classes don't matter so much. And yeah, I'm thinking about applying for jobs. I applied to about 7 this summer and didn't get hired by one. That's a whole different story. But I was thinking maybe having another go at it, because it's kind of the off season with school in session. There shouldn't be as much competition for work. So maybe applying for a job that way. Also just saving up any money I get as gifts, or doing like random odd jobs or selling stuff online, whatever. Trying to make money through that. But yeah, I really want to do this trip. I don't know exactly where I would go. I would think Germany, maybe Austria, because I speak a bit of German, not fluently, but I know enough to greet people. I know about every swear word in the book, and I know some slang and directional words, so that should get me around well enough. And I also, in case it's not apparent, I do speak English fluently, like a native, some say, so that'll also be useful abroad. But yeah, I'm not sure where. Like I said, I think Germany or Austria is probably going to be my best bet. Maybe Switzerland, but that place is super expensive. And also there's a hawk up there. I don't know if I can, that's cool. It's like right there. Nice. Life in Texas. But yeah, everything here is kind of dead. I think that's kind of partially why I'm daydreaming a lot more than usual, is because like kind of sucks right now here. Not to be a pessimist, but the weather's kind of, you know, it's like probably 62 right now. Sunny cloud. It's like ugly sunny. It's not even fully sun. I'd rather just be straight up hardcore dark clouds, or like bright sun, because I cannot stand this like indecisive weather. But yeah, as I was saying, those different countries. This is just kind of a rambling yap sesh. But I want to have this documented for if I do start my adventure, which I'm really wanting to do. I mean, I'm going to be going into university next year, so that'll be an adventure I'll definitely have to document as well. But just a personal journey across the world would be epic. Yeah, so I'm thinking Germany, Austria, maybe Switzerland. Yeah, if I can somehow cheapskate that, which if you guys have ever been to Switzerland, it is not cheap by any means. So I'll have to get creative in that regard. But yeah, so how raising money, doing that. The goal of it would just be to honestly like have fun. I'm gonna try to do it for as cheap as possible. I've been watching this guy on YouTube. His channel name is Gifgas. He's this Belgian guy who basically hops trains all around Europe. And he's sick. He travels for basically free, I'm assuming, based off what he posts. By just hopping on different trains, and he's joined by other people sometimes. Sometimes he goes solo. But he's honestly been my biggest inspiration lately. I've been binging his episodes, kind of wanting to replicate it. But yeah, his channel is GIFGAS. Go check him out. Cool dude. But yeah, he's Belgian, Dutch speaking. So I don't know if that changes anything. I just thought it was interesting. But I've seen other channels doing similar stuff in the US, which I actually thought about doing. But there's a few things that cause me to be cautious with doing stuff like train hopping in the US. Number one, it is illegal, and I'm, like I said, going into university next year, so the last thing I really want is to have a record going into university, because that is really bad. And number two, in case you guys do not know, America is actually a pretty big place, a lot bigger than most European countries. Actually, excluding Russia, every European country, I believe, the US is bigger than. So that means there's a lot more space, I guess you could say. And there's also a lot of criminal activity, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there is plenty in Europe. But it's kind of different in the US because guns are easier to get a hold of. There's larger scale operations here. So stuff like that, it seems like it would be easier to die. For example, if I were train hopping to Chicago, any of you guys who are American, maybe even not American, Chicago is not the safest place, to say the least. So yeah, that would be a scary one for sure. And train hopping alone is already pretty sketchy. So added the fact that you're going to a very rough city across super long distances, it's just really not that enticing to me to do. So I don't think I'm going to be train hopping in the US anytime soon. These are some cool looking berries. I'm going to try to yeah, they're pretty cool. Are they berries? I don't know what they are. But anyways, yeah. So US train hopping, probably a no-go. I might do some sort of travel videos in the US. Maybe like someplace I haven't been, like Colorado or something. Not sure yet. I haven't been to Colorado. I haven't been to Chicago. I haven't been to Minneapolis. Minneapolis. I haven't really been anywhere in the Midwest. I'm from the West Coast originally. For all my Seattle people out there, that's where I'm from. But currently, as you guys can see, this does not really look like Washington. It's a lot more flat, and the trees are different. That's because I'm currently living in Dallas, Texas, or the Dallas area. I live a bit east of the city, more in the country, but yeah, so I'm in Texas now. So really the states I've been to are mostly on the West Coast, because I only moved here about 2.5 years ago. Maybe almost three, but yeah, 2.5 years ago I moved here. So I grew up visiting places like Oregon, California, Idaho, sometimes Montana for feeling really adventurous, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, all those places. But I never did make it past that part. I did actually visit Texas when I was 10. I went to Houston though. But yeah, now I've pretty well explored Texas. And gotta say, if any of you are thinking about coming out to Texas, I would do it. It's pretty nice. I'd recommend, if you're young and looking for a fun city, I would go to Austin. If you're looking for really the Texas culture, like, what was that? If you're really looking for the Texas culture experience, I'd definitely check out Dallas, and more importantly, kind of, why am I blanking? Fort Worth. That is kind of the Texan kind of experience, because you get all the rodeos and stuff over in Fort Worth, and it still feels like kind of small town Texas, but not really. You just got to check it out. But that's more kind of Wild West Texas. And yeah, of course, Austin. It's very modernized. They got a lot of tech startups over there. So yeah, if you're young looking for a fun place, go to Austin. That's where I'm trying to move to next year, but we'll see how that goes with school and everything. But yeah. So yeah, I'm from the West Coast, live in Texas, and I've been to Oklahoma and Arkansas and Tennessee, all of which I drove to from Texas. So those are some places I've recently explored. And yeah, I've never actually been to either of those places during the summer. So that would actually be really cool, because in the winter, like I said, down south, everything kind of gets really dead, which I bet it is like in the north too. Actually, it is, but I mean, like trees and like people are outside during the summer. There's stuff going on compared to the winter when it's kind of like everyone's just hunkering down. But yeah, going to the East Coast would be cool. I've only been to Philadelphia for like a day, not even like one night and a day, and then I flew out to Paris. Kind of makes me sound like a rich kid, but yeah, Philadelphia for like a day, and it was actually very nice. I liked it. I mean, of course, there's crime and stuff, but we just stayed along kind of the touristy routes, and it was really cool. I went to New York when I was 10, but I'm not counting that. I don't really, I just remember it was freezing when I went. We were in there in like February, I want to say, February 2016. That was on our way to Barcelona, and yeah, it was, so I've only been to the East Coast during layovers, never really explored it, and I'd like to go to Boston. Seems like a cool city with history and stuff. Yeah, like I said, Colorado, probably Denver or something, over in the mountains. And yeah, Chicago maybe, just to say I've been. But really where I'm wanting to go, if I'm being honest, is just Europe. I really like it. It has history that is, you really just can't get anywhere else. So I'm wanting to go back and explore. But yeah, exploring places I haven't been, such as Germany or Austria. Maybe northern Switzerland, because I've been to Geneva, the Matterhorn, seen all of that. Which actually, favorite place I've ever visited, if we're going for big cities, it's easily Paris. But if we're going for just solely like the nature and like the vibe, hands down, Zermatt, Switzerland. I think it's pronounced, maybe Zermatt. I don't know. It's a Swiss town in southern Switzerland, kind of near Italy, as well as France, I believe. It's, yeah, southern Switzerland. It like overlooks, or not overlooks, underlooks, I guess you could say, the Matterhorn. It sits below it, and it is the nicest place on earth I've ever been. It feels like a fairy tale. Like, it's actually unreal. The streams are clear as crystals. The mountains are just, you can't even describe it. They're just huge and like super jagged, cool looking. Unlike what? Is that a leaf? I don't know. But yeah, they are Swiss Alps. I tell you, they are insane. And Geneva is very nice as well. But I was only in Geneva for maybe 3 hours, something like that. Explored a little, or not little, but a monastery? I don't know what you'd call it. Like an old church. And you could go up to the top of it and kind of overlook the city and like the famous fountain over there. And weirdly enough, I found Geneva reminding me quite a bit, the area we went in, of Vancouver, Canada, for some reason. I don't know why. It might have been, it was like, had mountains. I have no clue. In the water, there's a giant lake over there. I forget the name of it. But I found it reminding me, oddly enough, of Vancouver, Canada, which is kind of near where I grew up. Of course, it was much different, but there were some parts of like the layout that sort of reminded me of it. But it was its own thing. It was very nice. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. Trying to think where else I've been. Paris, France, like I said. Favorite major city I've been to, and I've been to Stockholm, London, Barcelona, Marseille, like I said, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, Dallas, Austin, Houston, New York City, but like I said, I can't really count that one. It's been like 7 or 8 years almost since I've been there, so my memory's a bit faded. I was only there for about a day, maybe. But yeah, so out of all those cities, Paris, France is very nice, with Stockholm, Geneva, and Marseille all following closely. London, I really want to revisit, because when I was in London, I feel like I give it, like I got a bad experience, because I was really sick. I flew in from Sweden, and I think like my body was adjusting weird to like the water, or I just ate really bad stuff. I think I had food poisoning for a good 2 days. And I was only in England for, I believe, 4 days, maybe 4 days. I don't know. So like well over half the time I was there, I was really sick to my stomach. I can remember the Tower of London, just like running to the bathroom because I was like about to just die. I was super sick. So I guess I got a little taste of what the Black Death would have been like. That was an experience. I remember also the train, having to like sprint to our little apartment over in West London because I was dying, getting off that like plane and just being super sick. So yeah, England, I've got to give a second chance because I was really not feeling well. But I loved Sweden. For a while, Stockholm was my favorite city I'd ever been to. Obviously that changed when I went to Paris, but it's still probably second. I hesitate to put it there. Only speaking major cities. In fact, yeah, only speaking major cities. Geneva was also amazing, but I wasn't there for long enough to really speak on it, but I loved Geneva. Marseille was also quite nice. I was only in actual Marseille for a day, but I was in Provence, France, and the other southern, I don't know what France uses again, but the southern regions. I stayed in this town called, I'm gonna bear with me, my French is not good at all, but Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, I think it is. It was in Provence, France. It was this really nice town, as well as Gord, France. I believe it's pronounced Gord. It's spelled Gordes. If any French people are watching this, sorry for butchering your language. I know essentially no French. I just know Je suis Noah, or is it Je m'appelle Noah. Je suis américain. Parlez-vous anglais? And I used parlez-vous anglais a lot because I did not speak French, and the locals actually did speak quite a bit of English, so that was fortunate for me, but definitely got a few laughs when I went in trying to order. and I didn't speak any French, which that's my bad, but in my defense, I actually don't really have a defense. I just didn't really take learning French seriously because it was quite difficult for me. Found German to be much easier, so that was a learning experience. I remember in Paris, funny story, my family had we were in a rental car, and it was very cramped, and I don't remember what, it was at night. We had just gone to the Eiffel Tower. We were in like central Paris, and it was, night, it was raining, and my family wanted to stay in the car, and they're like, we need somebody to get this like orange juice thing, because basically my two, I don't remember if it was both of my brothers or just one, got sick, which we always managed to get sick on trips. I don't know how, but so one of them or more was sick, and I had to be the one. I was designated as the middle child to be the one to go out and acquire the orange juice. So I just got dropped off on a random street and had to go find like the nearest like equivalent of like a gas station or like small store to find orange juice in. And so I was exploring, I was walking on the streets of Paris at evening, I would say evening, maybe dusk. It was still light enough to see. Also, there's lots of lights in Paris, just like any other major city, but it felt so cool walking. And then I had finally found show my cool pants off. They're corduroy pants with the destroyed white Air Forces. But yeah, anyways, in Paris at dusk, I guess, I was walking around looking for a store, and I finally found one. It was like kind of on a corner, but not like a corner store of a street. I had no clue where my family was parked. I think they were driving around Paris while I was looking for this. So I'm alone in this like massive French city. I don't bonjour, merci beaucoup. I don't even know if I said that right. I just know merci. It means thank you. So I was in this place and I've got no clue what I'm doing. Usually my younger brother at the time was learning French, so he spoke the most French out of us. My dad spoke Spanish, so that got us out of some sticky situations while we were in Spain for a bit there. And sometimes people spoke Spanish because we were it's a bordering country. So that helped us out, but I only spoke a bit of German and English. And so basically, funny story, I go in the place, no Americans or Brits in sight. Everybody's straight up French, and I'm like, oh, great. And it's not like we're in some southern town in France where the people are much friendlier. We're in Paris, and people are very busy and just kind of sick of people because so many tourists had been coming. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm the dumb American walking in. Don't know any French. So I would just look around, and this store was like organized in the most weird way possible. For any American going to Europe for the first time, you will recognize their stores are kind of weird. Like I don't know, it's like a weird, like different version, I guess, of American stores. They're just laid out kind of strange. The roofs are like very low to the ground compared to the US where it's like 30 feet high or whatever. They're strange. And there'll be like random doors and like corridors leading to like employee only areas, but they're not marked off, and it's just like a confusing mess. But so I was walking through this place, and it's like I'm trying to draw out, like, you walk in and it's just like one aisle here, one aisle there, a bigger aisle over here that goes back, and then like a bunch of random stuff all scattered throughout. So I walk in, doors slide open, people just look, and I'm like, okay. So I just mind my own business, start walking back. And I was trying to listen. If you guys have ever been abroad, you'll know this feeling, or maybe I'm just kind of insane. But I usually walk around, kind of scout it out, as well as listening to hear if anybody speaks English. If they do, then I try to like ask them to like, or I don't ask them to help out, but like, I don't know. It's just like one of the ways of like making sure I'm not the only one in the room. But this place, there was none of that. Like, everybody spoke French. And so I was like, okay, this is not gonna... I was like, this could go one of two ways. So I pull out my phone. Actually, this same phone, I've still got it on me. This one. And I have a... I've got a... let me clear those notifications. I've got this French sign. It just says, like, no entrance. Like, dead end. But I thought it looked cool, so I don't know why I said it as my wallpaper. Anyways, I like scramble over here on my phone to search. Let me search this without showing every app I own. Go on Google Translate, and I try to translate to French. And I had no connection despite being in the center of France. So I'm just like, okay, can't use my phone. And so I was like frantically trying to think of like words to say. I was like, okay, merci. Bonjour, and all of that, and I finally find the orange juice. It's like in this weird, like frozen, or not frozen, but like refrigerated section, and it was buried behind a bunch of stuff, had weird labels on it. I was like, where is orange drink? It took me, like, I don't know if it really took me that long to find the orange juice, or if I was just taking a while trying to think, run over in my head how I was going to speak to the employees. And you know, when you order, sometimes people will just like, sometimes they won't even talk to you. It's just like business only. But other times, they do talk quite a bit. And so I was like, oh great, I don't know how to really have a conversation in French. So I, just got the orange juice. I was carrying like, I had both of my hands, I would show, but let's see if I can get the camera. I had both of my hands just like this, like carrying 6 different packs of orange juice, and I'm like walking around the store, like I came in trying not to make a scene. I was like walking around the store like just like walking around like that, carrying all of this stuff on both hands, and then I have to like awkwardly dump it onto the I had to like awkwardly dump it onto the counter. It was like a weird counter. It did have the conveyor belt thing, like moves the groceries, but there were like 3 people in front of me, and then like a bunch of people walking in the store and like looking behind me. But it was just enough people to where it's like if you did something embarrassing, there would be enough people to witness it that it would be embarrassing. But it was also like just little enough that it wasn't so frantic that like doing something stupid would go unnoticed. So I was like, okay, well this is awesome. So like 8 people kind of around me in the area. And yeah, I'm like awkwardly dumping all this stuff onto the desk thing, counter, I don't know what you'd call it, where you go to buy stuff. And the clerk just like looks over at me, like glaring. I'm like, okay. I just try to avoid eye contact. And other people are looking at me. And then I drop like 2 of them, and they just go onto the ground, and people start like looking. And I was like, okay, great, this is awesome. I think it's je suis désolé, means like sorry or something, or excusez-moi, pardonne-moi, whatever. So I think I was saying some of that stuff, pardonne-moi, pardonne-moi. And so I'm like, okay, by this point I'm like, oh, great. And now I'm not only the one that only speaks English, I'm like dude who's dropping all the like store merchandise all over the floor super loudly. And so then yeah, it's my turn to order, pay, I don't know. And the guy just starts saying so much French, and I was like, oh gosh, dude. Like, I have no right to complain. I mean, it's France. Of course they're going to speak French. But I was just like, this is exactly what I was hoping would not happen. I was hoping he'd just say, like, bonjour. And I'd just say it back. And then he's like, gives me the receipt or bag or whatever. Bro starts saying a bunch of stuff. And I was like, pardon, I was like, pardon-moi, parlez-vous anglais? And bro just keeps talking. And I don't know if I said parlez-vous anglais. I think I actually said, parlez-vous allemand, or something like that. It was like broken French that basically meant, do you speak German? Because I didn't want people to know I was American, because I want to save America's reputation, you feel me? So I either say I'm from Canada or I'm from Germany if I'm abroad, if I do something stupid. Yeah, so anyways, bro starts going off. Like, He wasn't angry, but he was just like saying a bunch of words rapid fire, like, I was like, oh gosh, I have no clue what this guy's saying. I was just like, and just kind of like stuttering, and then I just gave up, dude. I was like, you know what, I don't care. I was just praying somebody in the store spoke English, and I do the classic American in Europe move, and start just being like, like just saying stuff in English, so at least I'm like conversing back with him and not just like stuttering there, because my French, dude, I didn't know any. What is that? Oh, it's my dog. I was freaked out for a second, dude. I thought something was over there. Okay, anyways, but yeah, and so then he was like, I think he pointed or something, and he was like, le barg. Oh no, they call it something different. I want to say like duffel, or like they have this weird word for bags. I think there's a word that's like comparable in English, but it's like one of those words that like only British people in like some obscure town in like a village in England or whatever use. It was like, it wasn't bag, because that's like what we use in America. We just say, do you want a grocery bag with that? He said like le buffel, or like le duffel, something like really weird, and I had no clue what he was saying. And then he just like grabs it for me. It's like, oh, and people are just staring at me. I'm like, okay, great. And so I just took it and was like fumbling. He gave me change, and it's like, I didn't even know how to say keep the change, so I just took it in my pocket, which is, I don't know. Europe's weird with their stuff for like what's appropriate and what's not, especially France. So I just take the change. I'm like, okay, screw it. My operations is just to get out of here. So I took the bags, fumbling, and just go out the door. And that was fun. But yeah, there were a lot of actually Americans there while we were there. Way more than the year before. That was last summer, but 2 summers ago when I went to France back to back actually. But the first time I went, there were no Americans. I think we saw maybe one British person. Like, no, we saw like a few British people. And some, weirdly enough, Australians were also there. But this time it was a lot more Americans. So I was hoping there'd be some in there, but there weren't. And then as soon as I get on the streets, there's like Becky like posing for her Instagram story back in Vermont, where her friends live. So there were quite a few Americans when I was there, but maybe that's just Paris every year. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so in conclusion, I really like Paris. But if you are like me and you don't speak French well, or at all, probably go to southern France, because even though you'll probably have worse luck finding people who speak English, they're a bit more laid back in southern France. They're not very like on the go, kind of like, it'd be like the difference between New York and like a nice town in Texas, you know. I feel like Texas has a bad reputation with being like racist and xenophobic, but when you come here, it's actually quite nice. People are friendly. I mean, like anywhere, there's good and bad people, but like I said, it'd be like a nice town in Texas compared to like New York City, where people are just like bustling through. So yeah, southern France is very nice. But I do love Paris for its history, architecture, all that. And food is amazing. I ate at Café de la Flore. Café de la Flore, I think is its name. Café La Flore. It might just be that, I'm not sure. Something along those lines. But they had the best vanilla shake I've ever had in my life. Best shake, hands down. We didn't have any food because it was like $20 for like a cracker. It was insane. Like, you just want to cheese it, and it's like, monsieur, that will be €50. And then you're like, oh, I don't have money for this. And that's why I'm gonna go completely cheap on my trip to Europe, because my parents actually have money to do that kind of stuff. I do not. I barely have enough money to get tickets to go to Europe. So I'm just gonna be cheap skating the heck out of stuff, just buying like crap at the grocery store, trying to survive off as little as possible. Staying in hostels, not hotels, maybe even sleeping where I can. I don't want to be homeless while I'm abroad, but my point is I'm going to try to save as much money as possible. Just live pour while I'm over there so I can explore. Because I don't really care about the experience in terms of like doing nice stuff. If I want to do that, I can just do it here for cheap, or cheaper relatively. And I just care about exploring the culture and kind of living, I don't know, just LIVIN, as Matthew McConaughey said in his movie. Which, speaking of Matthew McConaughey, I actually got to be like face to face with him in the I was at a football game down in Austin a couple weeks ago, and it happened to be Matthew's birthday, so see, I'm cool with him on a first name basis. I got to see him walking through the stands right next to me, and now we know each other basically. But yeah, don't know why I went on that tangent, but yeah, anyways, Europe. So the plan is, with all that yapping aside, I want to go to Germany or Austria. Like I said, maybe northern Switzerland, but they speak a weird dialect of German called Schweizerdeutsch, which is like German, but even harder to learn, which is, well, I don't know if it's harder to learn for an English speaker. They might both be equal, but I've been learning Hochdeutsch, which is basically standard German or high German. But I've been practicing as much as I can. And like I said, I'm not anywhere near fluent in German, but way better off than I am in French. French, I knew maybe a couple phrases. Like, okay, I knew more when I was there. I haven't used French since being in France, so I forgot most of it. But I knew a bit. I mean, I knew how to greet people, how to say thank you, excuse me, all that. But I was fumbling when it came to like actual French. So German, I'm a bit better off than that. My vocabulary sits around like maybe 100, 200 words, something like that. My pronunciation's not horrible. It's not, I mean, amazing, but it's enough to be understood. Whereas French, it was very iffy. I mean, I'm gonna practice speaking in both right now, just so you guys can hear the difference. In French, I would say, bonjour, je m'appelle Noah. I think it's je suis américain. And in German, it would be hallo, ich heiße Noah. Ich komme aus Amerika und ich bin 17. And I added some on in German, but I don't know how to say I'm 17 in French. I don't know. I think it's A is number one. I don't even know, dude. This is how little French I know. I was trying to order croissants. My dad and I, early in the morning, got up in southern France and tried to order some croissants at a bakery. And they were nice there, but they kind of laughed because we weren't even able to like pronounce. I think it was cinq. He said what my dad spoke sounded more like a racial slur than a number, because their pronunciation in French was so bad. So that is kind of evident, whereas in German I can count to 100 without a problem. My pronunciation, like I said, not perfect, but it's far better than my French pronunciation. Dutch also seems cool to learn, good to know when you're in Europe. I mean, any language that's spoken there is good to know. It's not like there's a contest. I just picked what I thought was fun and what I found easier to learn by comparison, and that was ultimately German. But yeah, hopefully gonna improve that more before going, because like I said, I'm not even close to being fluent. There's like a different rating system of how fluent you are. It goes like A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and C2 is like native speaker. C1 is like very advanced. Like, people can tell you're not from the country, but you can communicate just as well as a native. But I think C2 is like where you're practically indistinguishable from like a native speaker. And I don't even know how people get to that level. I think you have to have lived in a country for like 20 years or something. But I'm just trying to get to like A2, dude. A1 is freaking hard. I know like some pronouns, like I know he, she, they. I know how to say like you, like singular, casual, you, singular, formal, you singular but really formal, I think. And then you plural. And yeah, so those ones it's er, sie. Actually, sie is both she and they. And then er, of course, is he. And then when it comes to him, her, his, hers, and theirs, or him, her, that's where I start to get shaky. I know ihr is her, and I think it's sein is his, I think him is ihn, or I think it's ihn, or yeah, I think it's ihn. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm like 90% sure it's ihn. And if you were to say you plural, you'd say ihr. If you want to say like you are something, but to a group of people, you say ihr seid. So I know that if I want to go insult a group of people, I can do that without a fluke. I think it's ihr seid alle. Maybe it's alles. Ihr seid alles. I don't know. Ihr alle oder alles. Something like that. But yeah, so I've been trying to learn German for the past few months. It's going slow, probably because I've never taken a class in German. I've only like watched YouTube videos, like Netflix shows, music. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I did have a dream. I actually had 2 dreams where German was spoken. The first one, it was like only conversational, and the second one was a lot more like, it was weird how to explain, but I did have a few dreams, so that was like kind of weird. It's the only time it's ever happened in a language. Like I never dreamed in Spanish or like French or anything. So that was interesting. Don't know what it means. Some people are like, it means you're fluent, and I'm like, I don't think so. Because I woke up and like couldn't even remember all of what was spoken, or like I remembered it when I woke up, but like it's one of those things like in the dream you understand it, but when you wake up you like know what you dreamt, but you don't know what it means. It was kind of like that. So that was wild to experience. But yeah, so I should be fine in Germany or Austria. A lot of them speak English as well. But I was surprised actually at how few Germans spoke English compared to what I thought, because I know it's taught throughout school. But I talk with people online all the time in German, and I've found that about 70% that's being conservative. I would say maybe more. Or maybe that's not conservative, maybe that's being low. I don't know how you describe. That's like being precise, like 70%, but it could be more like 90%. And they just said they don't speak English. But about 70 to 80% speak English. And out of those, I would say only about 30 to 30% speak it fluently. So that was just interesting. I don't know why. I think it's because when I went to Sweden, everybody spoke English without a hitch, like very fluently. And that was kind of shocking actually, but I think I was so young, I just thought it was normal. But looking back, it was kind of wild actually, because everybody in Sweden speaks fluent English, at least Stockholm, but maybe that's because it was an international city, who knows. But yeah, that was kind of interesting, but I should be fine, because I know how to say, like ask if they speak English, and I know a bit of German. Any German viewers watching this, trying to think of something I could say. I know a bunch of swear words, or as you say in German, Beleidigungen, which just means like insults. Of course I'm not going to put like the translation because these are really bad words, but Scheiße, Arschloch, Hurensohn, Wichser, Schwanzkopf. A phrase you can say is Leck mich am Arsch. You can also say Ich habe deine Mutter gefickt. And that one sounds close enough to what it means in English, so I'll let you go figure that one out. And there's other ones that I'm not remembering right now, but if I heard them I would understand it. And I just learned those by watching shows and listening to music, talking with people. I also learned some slang words, which I only know German slang words, like German slang words, not like Swiss or Austrian. But I know in Germany they say Digga a lot, which just means like dude or bro. They also say geil, which can mean either like awesome or cool, or it can mean like horny, depending on how you use it, so you got to be careful with that one. I've made that mistake before, using it in the wrong context. Bodenlos is another one they say when it's like unbelievable, but like in a bad connotation kind of way. Like if somebody came up to you and was like, you like, I'm trying to think of something you could say that's like bad. Like, mein Ex hat, no, you couldn't say that. I'm trying to think of a word you could, like something you could say, a phrase that's bad. Mein Tag war schlecht. I think that's proper grammar, I don't know, and maybe it's broken grammar, who knows. But that basically just means like my day was bad, and you could respond to that and be like, bodenlos. Obviously that's not the best example. You wouldn't be like, that's insane, or that's unbelievable if someone said their day was bad. Maybe you would, I don't know, depends. But yeah, this has been a yap session. My battery's about to die, but thank you guys for watching this. If you did watch it, I don't even know what to title this video. I'll just call it Rambling MP4. But yeah, hopefully I should be in Europe soon. If I can save up money. By soon, I mean this summer. But yeah, I'm gonna close with that because my battery is literally about to die. So peace out, guys. Stay safe. See you later.